Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the C-Man, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down. Before we dive back into WandaVision, obviously that's where we're headed, I just want to say thank you to all you guys. Your participation in my WandaVision coverage, specifically yesterday, just made the whole day a lot more fun than it would be if it was just me watching the show and not getting to interact with you guys. And that goes, for the entire run. All the support and the turnout that I got around this show and the interaction I got to have with you guys just made the whole experience really awesome, and I hope that gets to continue as we move forward, looking next to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I want to say thank you guys, because you certainly make my job a lot more fun. So I loved all that stuff. Hope we get some more of it as we keep moving forward. But now it's time to dive back into WandaVision, because we got some post-credit scenes to talk about a little bit more than we did in the spoiler review yesterday. So why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in to the second post-credit scene in WandaVision, Episode 9, the series finale. And I'm going to start there because that's the one that features Wanda. We'll talk about Monica after this. And we have content coming up in general. Yesterday was a big content drop day. Watched a few other things as I was unwinding. I was very tired from not sleeping, so spent a lot of the day on the couch and got to watch Raya and the Last Dragon and Coming to America. So you'll have those reviews as well as the first credit scene look back coming up later. But now we dive into Wanda's post-credit, and it starts with this wonderful landscape shot as we move in toward a cabin that sits at the base of what looks to be a big old mountain. And considering that I have talked about Wundagore Mountain as much as I have, whether it be the Chthon theory, whether it be, what was going on with Agnes / Agatha and the dog, which didn't end up turning into anything other than something that could have aged the kids up again. But nevertheless, dove into multiple times throughout the course of the show into Wundagore Mountain, because that is where Pietro and Wanda were born. Now, in the comics, that's in Transia, but listening to the score, we could very well be in, Sokovia, an area that, didn't get damaged by Ultron. And we could be at the base of Wundagore Mountain. And in the MCU, it might just be located in Sokovia instead of Transia. But it would be cool if it was Wundagore Mountain because of all those things that we've talked about in the past. It's where Wanda and Pietro come from. It's where Chthon, the being that wrote the Darkhold and is responsible for the Chaos Realm and Chaos Magic, was trapped and touched Wanda, imbuing her with Chaos Magic and a piece of himself. We'll get to that in a minute. So just knowing her historical background and ties to Wundagore, and the fact that the Wundagore tree, that plant that Agatha can use to see the future, comes from there, it would just be cool if that's where it was. Like, Wanda goes home, so to speak, to, I think, probably process and digest what just occurred. I know that the show was her, processing and going through her grief from everything that we've seen thus far in the MCU, but she looked pretty damaged still after leaving Westview, just because of the way everybody was looking at her and how she knows they all feel about her. So I think this could be her getaway, where she can kind of digest and process that, as well as do some hardcore studying in the Darkhold. So as we get to the cabin, we do see Wanda sitting outside, and like I said, it seems like she's in some kind of recovery of some sort, man. She's just wearing a sweatshirt, sweatpants, she's got her teacup, hear the water go off, so she gets up and goes in to address the hot water in the kettle. And as she walks in, we see there are runes and symbols all over this cabin. So that means she is definitely starting to legitimately learn some magic. And we see that she is learning her magic via the Darkhold as the camera moves past Wanda and brings us into a room where the Scarlet Witch is floating in the air with a bunch of, magical incantation symbols floating around her magic in her hands, and the Darkhold in front as she's reading through it. And I mentioned that it seems similar to when, Doctor Strange would astral project himself when he goes to sleep so that he can keep studying while his body rests. I've heard some people say that they think that's what's going on here. My only argument to that is, in the Doctor Strange movie, anytime Doctor Strange is in the astral realm, he looks more like a ghost. He's semi-transparent. And his body is resting wherever it actually is. That's not what's happening here. Scarlet Witch is completely solid. You can't see through her at all. And Wanda is up and walking around. So if it's not an astral projection thing, what's going on? My immediate thought, and I mentioned this yesterday in the spoiler review, is that whatever she is starting to learn, maybe she found a spell that allows her to separate whatever is going to hold Scarlet Witch back from doing what she needs to do. And my thought is that she's trying to get those kids back. That's what she ultimately wants, and the Darkhold could hold those answers. But if Wanda's personality, that's not the Scarlet Witch, is dealing with the Westview stuff or the loss of her kids and the loss of Vision again, that's gonna cloud and get in the way of the Scarlet Witch doing what she needs to do to get the kids back. So maybe there's a spell that allowed her to separate out all the stuff that Wanda's got to deal with in a separate body so that Scarlet Witch can just focus on what she's doing. And if that's the case, it could open Scarlet Witch up to being bad heading into the Doctor Strange movie. And it's one of those, they worked really hard to redeem, Wanda in some way so that we can be sympathetic towards her and what happened in Westview. And you don't do all that work just to then have the character flip to being bad again. There's something that has to cause it, and it could be maybe some separation of Wanda. The other thing that it could be, and talking about Cthon, who, like I said, if it's Wundagore Mountain that we're at, that would be dope because you could tie in the Cthon stuff. He wrote the Darkhold in the comics, gave Wanda his chaos magic, and in the comics, because he touches her, it's not just the magic, but it's actually a piece of himself. It seems to be a thing that Marvel loves to do, but over time, that piece grows inside of Wanda and slowly starts to corrupt her to a point in a storyline that leads her to fighting the Avengers. And it certainly would seem like going into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, just based off of what we sort of know, Wanda could be fighting the Avengers again there. And it could be because she's corrupted by something. Now, does that mean it's Cthon in the MCU? Not necessarily. Like I said, if you could do Dormammu, you could totally do Cthon. But maybe you just want to simplify it and be like, Darkhold is the book of dark magic. That's an easy tie, obviously magic in general, to witches. Tie all of that together to the devil. It's a little bit easier maybe for the common fan to tie that thread. And maybe it's Mephisto. But I'm thinking that there is still some entity out there that is tied to the Darkhold. So just because our theories in WandaVision didn't happen, doesn't mean that they're totally off the table yet. And Kevin Feige did say in the TV roundup meeting that was going on that you can watch the movies without having to watch the TV shows, which would mean you're not going to have any major piece be delivered in a show, rather because that could connect to the movie. Wanda becoming the Scarlet Witch, that could happen off screen and be worked into the Doctor Strange movie in a way that works for people who didn't watch the show, and the show just kind of gives you that background knowledge. So knowing that, some of our theories could still be in play, and it could be Mephisto, it could be Cthon, but I'm thinking that whoever is responsible for creating the Darkhold in the MCU is tied to that book, and as the Scarlet Witch reads more in trying to find ways to maybe recreate the kids or bring them back or maybe find them in another universe. While she's doing that, the being responsible for it could be corrupting her. And that could lead us to, her potentially being the villain in the Doctor Strange movie. And, much like Kevin Feige likes to do, could keep a big bad in the shadows for a while, pulling strings and doing things that we might not see right away. But I think that is probably what's at play here. Now, the last thing that we see in the post-credit, or we hear, rather, is the boys calling out. It certainly sounds like Billy. Might be a little bit of Tommy in the background, but you hear them crying, "Mom, help us, please." And then Wanda you see something move, could be her hand, and a face that looks like she's ready to go rip, limbs off, like she was going to do to Thanos. And it could be several things. It could be their souls actually calling out, which could lead us to Mephisto, because when she created the boys in the comics, shards of Mephisto's soul were used to create the kids. If those kids had souls inside of the Hex, maybe they're still tied to Mephisto, and she's hearing them call out from one of the Dark Realms, where they might be trapped. The other thing is it could be what leads to ripping open the multiverse. I think that's probably going to be the case regardless. But maybe she's hearing the boys in another universe where they exist, and they're just maybe, I don't know, trapped in a well, calling out for their actual mother. But she hears them calling out for mom. She thinks that's her. It could be one of those things, but certainly she's probably not trying to recreate the boys after this scene. She's going to be trying to find the boys, and whether that's in a realm where there is a dark being or another universe. I think that's what her involvement with the Darkhold could be leading to. So just because her theories didn't work out in WandaVision doesn't mean they're all dead just yet. And that makes me super excited because it allows us to, stay on our toes. We got to keep on our toes, keep paying attention to all the clues that are being laid out there, but it allows Marvel to continue to entice us, but keep some things secret and keep some things surprises as we go forward. And that's what makes the MCU so great, and that's what Kevin Feige is great at. So that's what's going on here. I'm totally on board, and I definitely can't wait to see if any of our theories are still in play or how this all shakes out. But that's what I took away from the post-credit sequence of WandaVision. And speaking of which, you can see I have a new shirt on here. I was hoping that this and Vision version that's like this would have showed up in time for all of my finale stuff. Posted my spoiler review, and right after that, that's when they arrived. But I got these from New Rockstar over on YouTube. If you check out New Rockstars in their merch section, the Unusual Couple shirts, there's this one, and you'll see the Vision one in the next video. They're available up there. I know Eric Voss did say that they were almost sold out, so if you think it's dope, I don't have any ties to New Rockstars. I just love dope stuff, and if you love dope stuff, that's where you can go find them. But yeah, check that out if you want. And that's it, man. That's all we got to say on this side. So now it's your turn. What are you thinking, man? What theories did you come away with from the show? Do you think any of your show theories are still in play? What'd you take away from the post-credit sequence? Where is Wanda and the Scarlet Witch heading? Where do you think they are? Could any of that have important meaning into where we go next? Anything you're thinking, theorizing about when it comes to the second post-credit sequence in WandaVision's Episode 9, the series finale, down below in the comments section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out more with me, the C-Man, as we move ahead in Marvel. We got Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming up, but obviously we got that multiverse saga going on with Loki and the Doctor Strange movie and the Spider-Man movie. You want to be here for all that type of stuff? You just like all sorts of movies or TV? I touch a lot of things. You want to be here for all that? You just want to show a little love support because you like what I'm doing over here? Then I suggest joining the C-Maniac Nation by jumping over there, hitting that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. If not, just hope you come on back and give it another go. But until then, for the C-Man's Cinema, sit down. I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.